afternoon, Your Highnesses, Excellencies and dignitaries and members of the ABLF network and all of our wonderful guests today. I'm Resham Kotecha, a strategy and policy specialist based here in London, and I'm absolutely delighted to be moderating this session at the ABLF. Today's session features two absolutely brilliant speakers, and just before I introduce them, I'd like to say that if you are posting on social media, and please do share your favourite moments, please make sure you include the hashtag ABLFCity. Today's session is a fascinating look at the future of mobility. And in an age of massive global change, daily routines and lifestyles having to adapt post-pandemic, and technology, driving and electric vehicles emerging as two of the most efficient and sustainable solutions, this session focuses on engaging global industry leaders to talk about smarter mobility options. So I'm delighted to announce our two speakers. The first one is the Honourable Joy Kabatsi, who is the Minister of State for Transport and a Cabinet Member in Uganda. And Joy is a trained lawyer and commercial dairy farmer. She's been serving as the Minister of State for Transport since last year. Before that, she was the Minister of State for Animal Husbandry in the, oh, is this gone? Oh, sorry, no, you're still, hello? Issue, or if you can still hear me, so I will keep talking and hope that you can hear me. So before that, she worked at the National Institute of Public Administration in Zambia. Our second brilliant speaker is Jay Walder. He is the CEO and board member of Virgin Hyperloop One USA. He's had an outstanding international career, and he brings experience in transport, property and infrastructure in the US, UK, Hong Kong and Singapore to Virgin Hyperloop One. There's a lot more I could say about both of these brilliant speakers, but I'm going to leave it there because I know we want to have as much time to hear their insights as possible. So the first thing I'd like to ask you, Joy, if that's possible to kick off with you, is how do you think COVID-19 has impacted mobility and migration in Africa compared to the West and Asia?
In Africa, we really move from border to border, we cross on foot. Really, the effect wasn't too much with our neighboring countries. But we tried to close borders and we tried to stop transportation. All the public transport was stopped. But the effect is not really comparable to the other Asian and European countries. Here we usually move from one country to the other. Borders are not so closed. So we closed them, yes, but I'm sure people were using small areas to pass through and go to different countries. But COVID really wasn't so bad in Africa, I must say. And it wasn't so bad in Uganda because we really tried to stop the spread of it. And I understand we are one of the best 10 countries that have managed to handle COVID very well. We haven't lost many people and it hasn't really spread to many people in my country.
Congratulations to you and your colleagues for the brilliant work in making that happen, and thank you. And so I want to move on to Jay to ask you, how do you see COVID impacting mass transit systems and the future of transport?
Thank you. Good afternoon, and a real pleasure to be here. You know, if I said at the beginning of the year that 2/3 of the world's population would be living in cities by 2050, nobody would be surprised. That was conventional wisdom for us. And that's a tremendous migration from rural areas into urban areas. COVID has obviously been a terrible pandemic. It is having major impacts. And now some people are questioning and saying, is this really going to happen? Will we see what we expected, which is this movement into cities, or will we see something else? And so the first thing I'd say is in the long term, I think we will see exactly what we were intending to see. I think cities attracted people for a reason. And that reason is that they're powerhouses of economic opportunity. that they're the epicenters of arts and ideas. And the challenge really is, how do we sustain this level of activity, involvement in cities, in urban areas, in ways that are sustainable? Sustainable, when I talk about it, I mean it both economically, I mean it for the planet, and safe, right? And how do we give people a mass transportation option that they actually prefer? I've spent most of my career doing mass transportation, as you point out, in London, in New York, in Hong Kong, in particular. The reality is that so much of what we are talking about for mass transportation really has its roots in the 19th century. That's the reality of the situation. You're in London right now, and think about the London Underground and when that started. What do we really want for mobility in a post-COVID environment? We want mass transportation that is on demand. We want it to be ultra fast. We want it to be convenient for us in the way that we want to move. And we want it to open up new doors for the life that we really want to live. And I think in many ways, one should never minimize. It's a terrible, terrible pandemic taking lives all across the world, no question about that. But I think it's also opening our mind to the idea that we can see things in a different way. And it's reminding us that we know that just doing the same things as we were doing before don't get us to the outcomes that we want. And so I think what we're going to see in a post-COVID world has to respond to what we're going to see in cities, what our values are in terms of the environment, and for example, and what people really want, and how it fits not just with our vision of what transportation should have been in the 19th century, but what it fits for transportation in the 21st century.
Thank you, Jay. And I think your points about making transport fit the 21st century are so relevant. And so, Joy, when it comes to some of those issues that Jay mentioned, whether that's sustainable transport, making it safe, making it attractive to people, what support is it that governments can give, and what support are governments giving in Africa to support the automation and digitization of safe and sustainable mass transit systems?
We are working hard and we are looking at it, but we are not as advanced really as America, as the Asian countries. We would also want to tap in and see how some of these things are done. Like in Dubai, so many people, but the movement of vehicles, it's very easy. We don't have that. We get jammed in our city here, because these cities are old and we haven't had any changes. We don't have good public transport systems for people. We use small taxis, and by the way, we still use motorbikes. Motorcycles are still here, and you find most people prefer motorcycles because they move faster and they can get you where you want quickly. But they are not safe. They are not really safe. And most of the young people prefer to use them because they can't wait in a vehicle, in a jam. So they jump on these motorcycles. This is not something that is really anywhere common in the Asian countries, I think, in Europe or America. But here in Africa, and in my country, and in my city here, Kampala in Uganda, you still have these motorcycles taking a lot of people, and they are quite dangerous, and they are quite unreliable. But that is the quickest way that our people prefer, and they use these border. Here in my country, they call them borders, but these are motorcycles. But we would like to get some good advice, would like to call upon the developed countries, because the world has become a global village. We are all, when you are looking at these motorcycles, you are seeing a Canadian behind a Ugandan, you are seeing an Asian girl, you are seeing somebody from anywhere in the world. As long as they visit this country, they get involved in the transport system. So helping each other and giving us the safe way to handle our transport and working together in this and looking at Africa as part of the world, looking at my country, Uganda, as part of the global world is very important so that we grow together, because nobody stays in one country. I am calling upon Asian countries, upon America, to come to Uganda, to come and visit us. We have one of the best countries to visit. It's one of the best places to get to. Good climate, good people. We have one of the most intelligent and tolerant leader who is ready to listen and learn and get ideas and send them down to his people. If you can come and give us your industrial, your intelligence, and we see how we can develop part of this world, because really we are all together in it.
You're right. And I think the way you've just described Uganda, that's probably the sound of lots of people opening up their web browsers to book their tickets. So hopefully you'll be inundated with visitors soon. Jay, I wanted to pick up on one of the points Joy made there about technology and adopting and what people actually like. And I think with the pandemic, there's been such a push towards accepting technology as a normal part of our life. Do you think the pandemic and the increasing rate of adoption of technology in day-to-day life is going to mean that you've catalyzed disruptive technologies like Hyperloop? Do you think there's actually been a difference that's been made to your ability to progress and advance?
No question, absolutely no question about it. I think you've put your finger on something that's very, very important. And by the way, it has its roots to some extent in the fact that the world has been ready for disruptive technologies in transportation and mobility for a very long time. I mean, let's stop for a second and think about this. We have not seen a new technology in mass transportation in over 100 years. There's almost no other field that we can say something like that. So I think we are seeing a need that was clearly there, and then we're seeing it exacerbated by the crisis that we have in front of us. Perhaps, and if you'll allow me, I think it may be helpful to spend just a moment explaining what Hyperloop is, because Hyperloop really is the first new form of mass transportation that we've had in 100 years, as I say, in over a century. It will allow us to be able to travel at airplane speeds up to 1,000 kilometers an hour, but it will go from urban area to urban area. People will be traveling in small pods. The pods will hold up to about 25 or 30 people. And it will be super fast, super smooth. This is literally transportation that is floating on a bed of air using magnetic levitation. And so I think that there's a recognition that that this can be done. What I'd also like to say is there should be a recognition now that it has been done. Virgin Hyperloop has built the world's first full-scale Hyperloop. It's in the desert outside of Las Vegas. It is 500 meters long. And we've run over 400 tests on this today. And in fact, have achieved speeds just in this short tube of 500 meters of just short of 400 kilometers an hour. And so I think we've now moved to the place where we're no longer talking about technology as what could be done. We're really in the mode now of talking about technology, about how do we take what we know works, what we know exists, and how do we commercialize it, and how do we bring it out to people in a different way. I think there is a consensus that infrastructure is a key to recovery. That as we come out of this right now, we need to seek a new normal, and it won't be exactly what we knew before. And we do want to be connected for mobility, both people and goods, in ways that are even better than we've had before. One of the things that I think works and is extremely important to our company, the majority shareholder of our company is DP World in Dubai. And I think, again, it's reflecting to a great extent the leadership position that has been taken by countries like the UAE in thinking about how technology impacts what's happening. DP World, of course, being a world-leading company in logistics, and sees Hyperloop as the opportunity to reimagine logistics, as well as to reimagine the mobility of people. And today, in all of my discussions, I would say that the openness that has now come to this has expanded immeasurably as a result of the crisis we're in. I think people are there. I think we're ready. I think it's time.
Fascinating, Jay. Thank you. And I think we've got 1 minute each for an answer from both of you. So, Jay, sticking with you, given that we have this incredible technology and you've been able to test it, what resources or what support do you need from governments around the world to be able to actually utilize this technology and make sure that we can benefit and leverage it?
In the first instance, we need an acceptance and a regulatory process. I have to say, in the United States, the U.S. Secretary of Transportation, for example, has stood up very, very recently and said that they are supporting Hyperloop. They see it as exciting. They want to see a regulatory structure for this. And in fact, the United States of America has now said that Hyperloop is eligible for federal grants in exactly the same way as high-speed rail and magnetic levitation systems. That's a huge step, and we should be applying this around the country. Let's create a level playing field to do it. Let's bring out new technology, and let's support it in ways that will allow us to be able to both improve people's standard of living and create greater productivity in our economies.
A very clear call to governments then. Joy, then coming to you in terms of all these rapid developments in technology, and sorry, we do only have 1 minute left, but with these developments in technology, do you see governments around the world starting to allocate more resources to budgets for sustainable and safe mass transit systems? Is that something you're working towards in Uganda?
Yes, I see everyone jumping on it, because every technology is always like anything new everybody would want to have, because development is really good for everyone, for our economies. Movement of cargo, movement of people it is very important for our people. And I see everyone will. When I remember the telephones, the mobile phones, when they came, I think Africa was more than the first people to use them. We always wait and see what is good for our people, and we jump on it. And I can tell you, the best we will get from you people who are advanced will always try and adapt, because it's good and it is a developmental. So everyone in Africa will look and see what they can afford. But for us in Uganda, the president and our people are ready to adopt new technologies, especially in the movement of our cargo and people. And the safety bit of it, we are ready to jump on it.
Thank you, Jay and Joy, both of you, for sharing your absolutely fascinating insights. Looking forward to visiting Uganda and to riding the Hyperloop as soon as I am able to do so from here in London. Thank you to everybody for joining this really brilliant session. Thank you to our two speakers. Thank you for everybody for submitting your questions. Please do not forget to visit the Partner Expo, which hosts ABLF's own booth, where you can watch our past videos, browse through magazines, the ABLF Times, or even view our past telecast, the ABLF Talks. You can also visit the customized booths for our partners at this time. And I do want to say thank you to our ABLF partners, Etisalat and Fiki, and thank you to our media partners, CNBC Arabia and Entrepreneur Me. If you've got a few minutes now, why don't you head over to our networking lounge and join the chat to connect with others. From November, partners and members will be able to set up video calls and book meeting rooms, so keep that in mind for next month's session. And remember that if you missed a part of this session or any other session on today's fantastic lineup of events, you can always come back right here and view it on demand anytime after today for the next 6 months. If you'd like to partner with the ABLF City and our initiatives here, please visit our partner booth and remember to share your screenshots of your favorite moments of the ABLF Talks lives and get featured on our live social media wall. Thank you very much for attending, and remember that we are back every single month with a fresh edition of the ABLF Talks live, so don't miss out. And now you know how to use this brilliant platform, it will be even easier in November. We'll be featuring global leaders in powerful conversations. And if you have a special leader you'd like to see, please do let the team know and we'll try and make it happen.